off air on my.
It should have just changed. Oh boy, we're freezing again.
I haven't frozen yet.
But
it
was running a little slow.
It's still showing as there now. It's showing as live.
Okay. We'll start when we get one viewer. It may take a while.
I feel like we've lost everyone's trust already. You know.
Just like a Roto Grinders mod.
Not that you're bitter.
No, I could care less about that place. I'll take all their free information and make my own judgment calls. It's so terrible. Like, they could grow college basketball and they just decide not to. Like, if you go to their main page and you look at, like, research, every sport is there except college basketball.
Well, that's probably because it's not college basketball season. I'm guessing they update it, but
they don't. That's the problem. Uh-oh, we have one viewer. We can get started now. Probably Johnny.
It may have been me testing the link, to be completely honest.
Oh, no, we have two.
Oh, now someone's definitely watching.
All right, so we at least have two people back and ready to go. Oh, and I got 2 new followers. Now we're rocking and rolling. All right, let's see if we can get this going again. We're up to 3. We hit 4. We gained everybody we lost.
We set the bar high here. I like that.
Yeah, there's 4. All right, we're going to get started again. We have everyone back that we had. All right. So welcome back, everybody. Hopefully we will not freeze up here again. Technology is now not our friend, but in true Roto Grinders fashion, we couldn't have done this without any technical difficulties. So, we're up to 5. All right, let's get started into back to Iowa State, Colorado, just in case people missed it. We can come back to a couple other things that we talked about in the beginning. I talked about this game. It was a total of 143. Iowa State was a 8-point favorite. They return almost everybody. Big key piece for me tomorrow is going to be Monty Morris. 7,400, talked about earlier. When you look at all the other games, first thing I always do is see if it's a guy I like, who else is in that range. The only other guy that I'll probably debate would be like Isaiah Taylor. We'll get to Thomas Walkup later, who I'm still trying to fit in to my lineup. But there's really no one else around there in that price range. For me, when I'm looking at guys 7,000 to 8,000, you want to get 4 to 5x out of them. 3x in cash is usually pretty good. So I think for me, Morris is going to – Colorado's guards are all brand new. They're terrible. And this, it should be a pretty quick-paced game. I was looking at also McKay. He's at 7,900, but there's a guy that I think you and I both agree on that we'll get to later that is $100 cheaper and has the same, if not higher, upside. So is there anybody from this game that you like or that is a total fade? For me, I'll talk about Josh Scott. Or we'll talk about Colorado real quick. Collier is their new starting guard. I think him and Fortune are starting. Don't play Xavier Johnson tomorrow. I know I probably shouldn't say that because some of you probably would have. He is out until at least December or Christmas, even though his price tag is $3K. I almost got tricked by it. I also got tricked by thinking Nigel Williams-Goss was going to be in the player pool for Gonzaga.
But before we go any further, I want to interrupt. And last year, one huge thing you complained about is when DK would take people out of the player pool. And now they have like Marcus Page down there, Xavier Johnson down there, who aren't playing but at min salary, which is very different than what they did last year. So I guess maybe you won that. I don't know. Deontay Burton in the player.
No, I didn't win that because they put blocks and steals on. Like, that was an ultimate troll. That was like the fuck you. Like, stop playing on our site because that's all you said was don't add blocks or steals.
Well, you're one of the few on that bandwagon, so.
Well, it's a good bandwagon to be on. I'm also one of the few that has been banned like 7 times from Roto Grinders, and like they IP banned me finally. So, but I'll touch on Colorado. I won't have anybody from them. I won't have any Josh Scott. I won't have any Wesley Gordon. I think they're going to be terrible this year. They have a very short bench, which could be good for DFS, but Scott's probably just going to get blocked by Niang one time, and he's going to say he's got back spasms and not play. So if you want to waste your 7,900 on him, go right ahead.
Yeah, I actually really like Josh Scott. If we're being honest, Josh Scott is one of my favorite players. I think. I mean, when he's healthy, he's a freaking monster. And everything I've read is saying he's healthy. So, I mean, I'm not sure if he'll be my cash lineup guy, but he's definitely going to be spread around for me quite a bit, even on FanDuel where he's a little bit more expensive. I might mix in some Wesley Gordon as a GPP play. Monty Morris, obviously my favorite play in this game, as you said. I think he's one of the safest plays you can make. And with the new coach, he's very point guard oriented, as he showed at Murray State. So I think Morris is a great play, especially on DraftKings at that price.
So here's a question for you, because I think I'm also on this. The only bandwagon, I'm probably the only driver of this, is I only make one lineup. I don't care if it's cash or GPP. I make one lineup, and you'll see it tomorrow or even last year. Like all my GPP lineups are the cash lineups that I run in Heads Up. Like I don't get. I've never understood. I get it for football and especially baseball, but in college basketball, I don't get why you got to make a GPP lineup. It's not like you're going to run stacks out there. Like run your best lineup that has your highest, your best cash game lineup. Like that's it. Who cares if it's chalk? Like a lot of times, like I think last year I ran a Trimble. I forget who it was that won me my seat. Like that was one of the highest scoring games, but it was ignored because it was Penn State, Maryland, and they thought it was gonna be a blowout. Like I think you run your cash lineup out there. I don't know. I'm probably the only one on the bandwagon of that, but it's worked for me.
So I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and for the most part, last year I think I ran one lineup most of the time, maybe a max of like 4 variations of that one lineup, and that's still a majority of what I do. I definitely run the same lineup at all the higher dollar ones. I'll occasionally mix in different GPP lineups at the lower level, like the 3 and 12, whatever, depending on the size. But while I agree with I just think that there's variance. There's certain players. I don't care that much about ownership percentages, to be completely honest, especially in college basketball. Yeah. But I think there's definitely low floor, high ceiling players that I'm not going to play in cash. I'm not going to play in high dollar, but I'm going to throw in a lineup at $3 with them, with a variation of my cash lineup. That's usually my reasoning behind it.
I mean, that's fair. I mean,
Wesley Gordon's an example of that. I mean, he could put up 8 fantasy points, but if he gets 30 plus minutes a run and puts up a double, he could, make a difference in a GPP.
No, I agree. Is there anyone else that you like from Iowa State or want to touch on? You want to touch on Naz Long's new name?
I'm not even going to try to go there.
I mean, we can get Johnny on it. I think I can pick out 10 names, and I'll set the over-under that he doesn't pronounce 3 of them correct. Or he doesn't go over 3 of correct.
Oh, yeah, the under's a lock. Under's a lock. Anything over 1, the under's a lock. Yeah, I mean, we got Walt's boy, Hallis Cook, maybe worth the GPP, but
no, thank you.
But yeah, I'm not playing him. I'm not playing.
I mean, if you want to spend $3,600, I got a guard that's $200 cheaper. That's going to start and play.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, especially on DraftKings, is there's like 10 people down in that window between 3, 5, and 4 that I'd much rather play.
Yeah. So I think he's like 4th on the depth chart too. So I don't think that. I mean, I think they may cover 8. I think that's a little high number for an opening game, but. All right. Let's move on to Albany and Kentucky, I think it is. Yep.
Yeah.
So I have a rule that I used when I used to sports bet, and that was don't bet a team that you can't name the starting five from. Or name at least half the starting five, 3 of the 5. So I won't even be touching anybody from Albany. I did a little bit of research on them. I mean, Singletary and Hooley are their two that, I mean, you look at their game logs from last year, and even if they put in a blowout, they may be able to put that up. I just don't trust anybody playing Kentucky. I think this is just like last year. When somebody plays Kentucky, you don't play anybody against them.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be quite as good as last year, but I definitely agree. Especially for Albany, I'm not touching anyone.
Yeah, I think looking at Kentucky, Olis last year, his price was, I think he started at 3,800, and I think he only got as high as 5, and he opens up this year at 7,600. I was kind of pissed that he was that high. I was hoping he'd be more in like the 6 range. Because I think he's going to be a guy, to me, he's going to be an Alex Barlow, but a better offensive Alex Barlow. He's going to get you. Huh?
I said you can't be worse offensively.
That's true. But, I mean, he's going to get you probably 8 to 14 points, 4 to 5 rebounds, 4 to 5 assists, 2 to 3 steals. I mean, he's just going to fill up the stat sheet.
Yeah.
At his price, and so that's where I'm kind of worried. Yeah, I think the highest he was last year was 4,600. So to open the season, they jumped him 3K, which is kind of infuriating.
Yeah, he was definitely a name I had circled. Keep an eye on early in the year because I think he's going to rack up assists like crazy this year. I think that's what Calipari wants him to do is just get up and down the floor and just dish. But yeah, at 7'6", there's no way I'm paying that.
And I think, too, with Kentucky, I don't know. I mean, he hasn't talked about the rotations like they did last year. I think he wanted to get away from it this year from what I read. So I think for me, I'm going to have to let that play out. Because, again, last year, I wasn't touching anybody. They were all 5,000, but it was so hard for them. You didn't know who was going to hit value any night.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, this game is a complete fade because I think they're going to treat it as an exhibition. Everybody's going to play 20 minutes or so. They're going to blow them out, win by probably 40. I didn't even look to see what the spread was on it.
It's actually, I think it was like 21, 22 when I saw it earlier. It actually wasn't the highest of the night.
Yeah, Ken Pom has it at 74.56. So that's only 18.
Yeah.
But again, if you play this game, somebody's probably going to stack this in the $2 and probably win all the money, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely expect Ulyss and Briscoe, Scal. I expect them to all be decently owned just because it's Kentucky.
Yeah, I agree. Which is fine. If you want to take anybody from this game, it's Gordon Hayward 20 on DraftKings and FanDuel. I have some games posted, so any of you 15, we're up to 15 viewers. So if any of the 15 viewers want to go ahead and take them, we're definitely more than willing. All right, so let's move on to one of my favorite teams, my favorite coaches, I should say. Florida Atlantic versus Michigan State. I was a big Denzel Valentine fan last year. I think he was almost – I wish DraftKings – did you get the NBA email where they showed you like how many times you played somebody or like who was your most –
I don't think I got that. It probably would have just said you played no one of any worth. But no, I didn't get that email, I don't think. But one for college basketball would have been nice. I would have loved to see Chris Dunn on there every single.
See, mine would have been Joseph Young, so Joey Buckets, because he was automatic. But I think Valentine probably would have been like my second highest owned. I mean, this guy is a pure like Michigan State player. He does everything. He's going to get his shots. He's going to rebound. I see a lot of value for him tomorrow because I'm pretty sure Schilling's out tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Schilling's out.
Yeah, which that opens up some interesting value for Costello at 4,800 because he's starting. He wasn't – I used him a lot last year as a punt. He was always a low 4K guy. He can go and get you a small double-double of 10 and 10 or, 7 and 10 and make that value. Everybody, I think, in here, which I'm still debating too, is Aaron Harris. He's only 4,600 on DraftKings. He could get a lot. He's
begging for you to take him. He's begging for you to take him at 46, but I just don't like the fact that he was suspended for their Europe trip. He came off the bench in their exhibition game, and I actually don't remember how he did in the first one, but he was kind of pedestrian in the second one. But yeah, he absolutely could light it up, put up a 30-point performance and kill value.
Well, and that's what I mean. I think from reading a couple of the forums, he's going to be pretty highly owned. So it makes for a very interesting fade. But I think I agree with you. College basketball and information is some of the hardest stuff to find when it comes to suspensions and if they're going to sit. I don't know what he's going to do with them. He could suspend him for the first game and not play him, or play him 10 minutes and I will, break a phone if I put him in every single lineup and he gets like 3 DraftKings points. Like Larry Nair or Lou Rawls. Larry, I don't fucking know. I forget what game I wrote. I could probably find it right here. Oklahoma, he was 3,200 and he got 1 assist for 1.5 points. I'm pretty sure that was one of the games I went all in on him when he was starting. But yeah, for me, I mean, the 2 plays in this game, it's going to be Harris and Valentine. Costello might sneak into my cash lineup. I'm sure some people probably are laughing at that.
I'll scoop.
But if he stays out of foul trouble, he's going to look like, Florida Atlantic, he's going to grab 10 rebounds against him.
Yeah.
So what does he need? 4,800. So times 4 is what? 18.2 or something like that. I don't know.
Times 5. I'd say times 5.
Times 5. All right. So he's got to make 21. So if he doubles 10 and 10. If he can't double against Florida Atlantic, what do you think he's going to do against Purdue? 2 and 2.
Nothing.
Nothing.
He's going to do what Matt Costello does.
But so it's very tough to fit Valentine in, especially when you look at a couple other guards that are a little bit cheaper priced in terms of making value. Again, this one has the blowout factor. Let me pull it up on KenPom real quick. 79.60. So they're actually a bigger favorite than Kentucky. But then again, I don't think Izzo. I think he'll run everybody out there. Like I said, this is where you want to play the big names, but they're not cheap like they were last year. I think Valentine probably when he opened last year was probably like 6K.
Yeah. I think the only other 2 names that you didn't bring up, I think that I'd look at in this game is Javon Bess. He's actually starting at power forward for him. I'm guessing he'll get a decent amount of run. Should put up. I think his floor is decent considering the minutes he'll play. The only problem is he's listed as a guard.
Another issue. We can cover. We're going to cover those issues later.
And then the other guy who I'm not going to touch, but you could make a case for is forward off the bench. He had a very impressive 5,006 minutes of game time in their last scrimmage, but with both Marvin Clark and Schilling out, he might get some run.
Yeah, I think
if you want to tilt foul trouble, of course.
No. See, that's the other biggest thing is we can get to a couple other guys that are big foul trouble guys, and you guys, especially, with those new rules, I saw the little video. I watched the little 14-minute instructional video that you sent me. So yeah. I'm sure I'll have some great tweets at the NCAA asking them about their new foul rules and everything.
As long as you cite the video evidence, I think you'll be good to go.
I'll pull a Haralabob or however the hell you say his name and just start posting links of like, is this a travel? Is this a foul? Maybe it'll give me a little bit more respect, but who knows? All right. Next up on the slate is Maryland, Mount St. Mary's. Maryland makes her an interesting team this year because
overrated.
I agree. I don't think they're overrated. Well, yes, they're overrated. I don't think they're going to be bad, but they're not the number 1, number 2 team in the country right now.
Yeah, we're definitely on the same page with that.
I think Purdue is going to win the Big Ten. I know we're not on the same page with that, but I mean, they have a lot of talent. I just don't know how they're going to gel together. I mean, I would love to play Trimble at 8,200. He was one of my favorite guys last year. But I think they're going to spread the ball around too much for him to – he gets a lot of his points from his scoring. With Stone coming aboard, Suleiman coming aboard, who's a ball hog. They remind me of, like, the Lakers. Like – I don't know who Kobe's going to be. It's probably going to be Trimble, but like there's just too many. There's not enough role players on this team.
No, Suleiman will be the Kobe. He'll be the one taking all the bad shots that he shouldn't be taking.
Yeah. And I think who's out for them? It's
Dion Wiley.
Wiley, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Which makes Suleiman interesting at 5,700. Because he's going to go get all those minutes. But again, when you look at who's around him, there are three guys, in my opinion, that we'll get to that I think will be a little bit better value. Now, we can't leave this game without talking about the worst player in college basketball, Jake Layman.
Best hair, though. Incredible hair.
He probably does, but this guy is like, all right. So last year. Again, they bumped him like $700. Like, this guy's terrible. Like, I know Walter likes him. Like, he's so bad. He's one of the worst DFS players. We were talking about it earlier. You're asking about a guy that sits in the corner. It's Jake Layman. Like, if you asked me if there was a not top 10 and it was a number 1, you said white college guy misses a dunk. My first answer is going to be Jake Layman. Like, he's terrible. Against Valpo last year, he takes one shot. Valparaiso. Like, come on. And with Diamond Stone coming into the picture, he's interesting at 6K. I mean, a lot of these guys, a lot of these freshmen, I really wonder. I'm probably not going to play a lot of them just based until the first couple weeks, just to see how they get into the new systems and gel with their teams, because it's tough to be a freshman and be an impact right away. He may be an impact player right away, like Okafor. You know, that was kind of a lock last year, but I don't know if I'm going to have any Stone. Probably, I don't think I'm going to have any Maryland. I think that's going to be a regret, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think the only Maryland person I'm heavily considering is actually Robert Carter, 5'7". A lot of reports that he's been one of their better players in the like leading up to the season. So I'll take him over Stone for a small discount.
Well, you can put that in your GPP lineup in the $2 and let me know how that works out for you.
I will.
Again, Mount St. Mary's. What did I put in my notes here? None. So that makes pretty much easy. Again, I'm not, people can ask, oh, should I play this guy? Gregory Graves, 5,400, and he averages almost 5X. Like, I have no idea who this guy is. I haven't watched Mount St. Mary's at all. I've asked a couple of people that watch the smaller conferences, and they couldn't tell me one way or another. I'm sure one of these guys will win somebody a big GPP. I'm sure Sox will have probably like this 3K Chris Manning.
Madhu Salah. He's totally going to be on Sox's cash lineup.
Yeah. And they'll drop like 30 points against Maryland. But I stay away from these teams, like these smaller teams, especially early in the season, because, again, you don't know what you're going to get from them. It's just me personally. I'm sure people do watch Mount St. Mary's basketball. I don't. So I'm just going to stick to people I know. I'm sure there's probably value out there. I mean, do you know anything about them? I'll be honest, I don't.
I actually do not. I've seen them a little bit the last couple. Be decent this year, so I have any of the names.
All right. Moving on to one of my favorite games. I think that's going to be probably the best game on the slate, in my opinion, for viewing pleasure. Pitt Gonzaga. So this one is happening over in Japan. Nice little 17-hour trip across the seas. Gonzaga returns almost everybody. They probably have three of the best. I don't know. I told you were their top 6 big men in the country.
Probably.
Problem with that is Sabonis hurt his back. He's questionable. Karnowski had pneumonia, and I think he's still getting over it, which leads us to the first lock of the day in Kyle. I'm probably going to say his name wrong. Wiltshire.
Wiltshire.
There we go.
Not that tough.
Well,
I'll start calling you Johnny.
I think Johnny just texted me, so or sent me like a DM. So that's what happened. So I think at his price for let's see, 7,800. When you look around the board, you got a lot of options around him. Actually, you got Scott at 79, McKay at 79, Rico at 78, but we can get to him later. Bryce Johnson at 77. Artist in this game, 74. I just feel with Kyle, it's going to be if either one of them's out or even both of them's out, the ball's going to run through him. So where'd he go? We seem to have lost Corey. 1 minute.
I'm back.
There we go. I lost you for a minute.
My bad. Phone was dying. I had to plug it in, and it like booted me off for some reason.
All right, you back?
Yep, good to go.
All right. I was just saying, I think with Wiltshire, even if Sabonis or Kanowski both play, I still think everything runs through him. With the addition of blocks and steals, I mean, he averaged, let's see, half a steal a game. I think he was averaging about a block a game. So, that's only going to help his value. I think, again, when we're looking at, if we're building a cash lineup, the 2 main plays right now are Morris and Kyle. For Pitt, I really don't like any of their guards except Sterling Smith. Again, I'm probably making one of the chalkiest lineups for the week. But he's a transfer, and he's extremely underpriced at 3,400. As I was telling you earlier, even for him to hit 4x, that's only 6 points and 6 rebounds, or 6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Now, you jinxed it and said he's probably going to stay in the corner for 30 minutes and just be a jackass. And so if he does stand in the corner, I'm going to place fully the blame on you.
That's fine.
But for me, I don't think Artis or Young or Jeter or any of the Pitt forwards are in play. Gonzaga's bigs are just way too good.
Wiltshire is basically a free square. I plugged him in, I think, pretty much everywhere. Definitely between his usage and, I mean, defense, but I don't think they're going to a whole lot. So that's really the main place I'm looking in this game. I think some other guys that interest me. I think Josh Perkins is going to have a good year. I don't know if I'd pay $5K for him in the opener, not knowing what to expect, though. Same with McClellan.
Yeah, I mean, with Perkins taking over the reins, again, it's one of those things where you wish he was a little cheaper, maybe in like that $4, because you don't know what you're going to get from him.
Yep, absolutely.
Our favorite boy, here's another name I'm going to mispronounce. I'm not even going to. We're just going to call him Kyle. We're going to call him Kyle number 2.
Dranginis.
Yeah, Dranginis. There you go. I played him a lot. I think he.
We both played him a ton last year.
I think we played him way too much. But he was always like 30. Let's see, 3,000, 3,900. I mean, he usually made value. We tilted really hard for him to make value. He'd always come in, and you knew he was going to shoot probably like 3 or 4 threes, and he had to hit 3 of them. You usually have to shoot 75% to make value.
Yep.
And just pray somebody got in foul trouble so he can run about 20, 25 minutes. But yeah, I agree with you. I think the guards for Gonzaga are going to be more interesting down the road. But I think for an opener against Pitt, Ken Palm has this one at 70 to 67. So maybe we can get a little bit of overtime special in this one. And just hope my guy doesn't fall out and stay in the corner like a jackass. But for me, I'm plugging Sterling Smith in everywhere. You know, you have Wiltshire as your free square. I have Sterling Smith as my free square. He's just too cheap. Like he's going to play starter minutes. He's going to play 30 minutes, and he needs 6 points and 6 rebounds to make value. Tell me that's stupid. Like how? I know it's going to be the first tilt play of the year. We just know it. It's an automatic.
There's no way he's not standing in a corner for 30 minutes.
Well, I hope he doesn't stand in the corner. All right. Are we good here? Do you agree there's really nobody from Pitt? I mean, you don't like Sterling Smith, but
I didn't say I didn't like Sterling Smith. I just like other players.
There's nobody that cheap though. 3,400. I mean, I've forgotten what value I need.
I'm not like you.
Whatever.
I'm not disagreeing.
He's going to be the first death train of the year.
Oh yeah.
All right.
That's a given. All right.
Yeah. We'll move on to Siena Duke. Duke obviously has a lot of newcomers. I also love, we'll talk about how bad DraftKings is, but Brandon Ingram being a guard.
It's questionable.
I mean, what is he, 6'9"? I think so. I'm glad they have a 6'9" power forward listed as a guard, which again, I wish I could play 7 guards tomorrow. For me, Grayson Allen's an interesting. He's too expensive to play tomorrow. I wish he was more in his 3,200 range and he'd be an auto play. But again, I think the pricing's a little tight. I think you said you thought it was loose.
I think it's very loose.
See, I feel last year you were able to fit, like, they undervalued a lot of guys. Like, I feel like Grayson Allen shouldn't be more than like 4,500.
Oh, see, I last year is so much tighter than what this is. I think Varn said the same thing when I talked to him. I think it's way loose. I could fit in anyone I wanted to, and with ease. You still there? You frozen? Did my hot take just completely kill everything?